Morning guys, today we're going to be carrying on rearranging equations with a particular focus on equations which contain powers and roots today. So I'm going to start off by doing these 8 examples. I'm going to talk you through them in full. If you would like to pause the video and try them for yourself first, that's absolutely fine, or equally you're more than welcome to just listen to me speak and watch me do the questions first. Okay, so first question, a squared equals 9. Something squared equals 9. Let's rearrange it so it's just a on its own. Let's make a the subject. So what number squared makes 9? Well, 3 squared makes 9, but also, think about it, negative 3 squared also makes 9 because two negatives multiplied together make a positive. So this equation has two solutions, and to make a the subject there are two options. A is positive 3 or a is negative 3. Both of these equations are true, and you would need to write both answers down to get the marks in an exam. But what about if I change the question ever so slightly? So instead of a 9, what about if we call it a b? So if a squared equals b, how could I write a so it's the subject? How can I make a the subject? Well, square rooting both sides, I'm going to say a is equal to plus or minus root b. So the plus or minus comes from the fact that when you square root a number, there are two solutions. There's a positive solution and a negative solution, remember. Okay, so again, I'm going to change the question ever so slightly. Instead of a squared, I'm calling it 3a squared. Because I've multiplied this left-hand side by 3, let's get rid of that. So let's do the opposite of multiplying by 3. Let's divide by 3 to begin. So divide both sides by 3. That will give me a squared is b divided by 3. Now, just like what I'd done in this step here, to get from a squared to just a on its own, to make a the subject, I need to square root it. If I square root the left-hand side, I must also square root the right-hand side. So a is plus or minus the square root of b over 3. Again, what if I change the question ever so slightly? So instead of 3a squared, I've now got 3a squared minus c. Well, to get rid of that negative c, I'm going to add c to both sides. So I'm doing the inverse operation. Now, just like what we've done before, to get from 3a squared to just a squared, so let's deal with this 3 to start off with. I need to divide both sides by 3. So that's going to take me to something that looks like this. So b plus c, all divided by 3. And now remember what I've done for these first 3 examples. To get from a squared to just a on its own, I must square root it. But remember, when you square root, there is a positive and negative version. Okay? So let's try some equations with roots. So if the square root of a is 9, what must a be? So the square root of something makes 9. Well, the square root of 81 makes 9. And that would be my solution, and that's how I make a the subject. Let's make a the subject of this second equation then. So, how do I get from the square root of a to just a on its own? Well, the opposite of square rooting is squaring it. So I'm going to square both sides. So a is equal to b squared. And I've now solved the problem. A is now the subject of that equation. Let's make a the subject of this equation now. So it's very similar to the one we just done, but there's just a multiplied by 3 in the way, isn't there? So what's the opposite of multiplying by 3? Well, let's divide both sides by 3. So let's get rid of this by dividing by 3. So root a is equal to b over 3. I very nearly solved the problem. How do I get from root a to just a on its own? Well, we've done that here, didn't we? So if I square both sides, that's going to give me a equals b over 3 all squared. I've left my brackets there because I'm squaring that whole fraction. I'm not just squaring the b on top, I'm squaring the b and the 3. Because we square the numerator and denominator, some people would write this answer in this form. So a equals b squared over 9. So b squared is b squared and 3 squared is 9. Okay, both of these answers are equally valid. You would get the marks for both. Okay, and finally, notice how it's a very, very similar question, but we've just got a negative c on the end. So let's deal with that negative c. What's the opposite of minusing c? Well, we're going to add c to both sides. So 3 root a equals b and c. Okay, and how do I get rid of that 3? Well, just like what we've done earlier, we're going to divide both sides by 3. So I'm dividing the whole right hand side by 3. And then how do I get rid of a square root sign? Well, the opposite of square rooting is squaring. And because I'm squaring that whole expression, I have to use brackets. If I don't use brackets, it looks like I'm only squaring that c, which is not true. The brackets tell me that I'm squaring the whole of the right hand side. Alright, so for our classwork today, you have 2 tasks. So be careful, these tasks are on different worksheets. So task 1 is an exercise like this, with your solutions attached. And then to find task 2, you need to find the other worksheet that I've attached for you. Task 2 is a mixed set of exam questions. So it's exactly how it would look like in an exam. So both sheets have the answers attached for you to check your work. But if you're still stuck, please just let me know and I'll be more than happy to help. Alright, thanks very much, guys.